Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, Nitin, for inviting me once again, and compliments to Bharat Shakti and the team for repeatedly doing an excellent job of organizing this seminar, this conclave. Ladies and gentlemen, just 2 days ago, the Indian Air Force celebrated its 91st birthday. As we march into our centenary decade, I think it's very apt for me to put forth what is the vision for the Indian Air Force in the next 10 years or so. Very clearly, our new doctrine has articulated the vision of the Air Force to be an agile and adaptable Air Force that provides decisive aerospace power in furtherance of our national interests. Now, I am taking recourse to using the PowerPoint because, like Nitin said, this is the graveyard shift. After lunch, I've been invited to speak. So I hope I can have your attention for a few minutes on this. The vision of the Air Force is hinged on 4 pillars. Firstly is capability development, technology assimilation, HR management and training, and of course, jointness and integration. For today, I shall focus on these first 2 pillars, that is capability development and technology assimilation, and what we see that how we should chart the way for ourselves in the next 1 decade or so. Starting with the capability development, it starts with identification of future risks and constraints, as has been amply brought out by the 2 speakers before me. The ever-changing geopolitical situation, the global situation, the kind of upheavals that we are seeing across the globe has given rise to continuously reassess our capabilities, whether we need to equip and train for a short and swift war, or do we need to equip and train for a protracted conflict. Which part of the country or which part of the globe is going to be affected next is something that we need to keep analyzing all the time. Our resource prioritization, of course, will be based on a nation's requirements of balancing between economy, education, healthcare, and military requirements. The existing structure and resources need to be constantly restructured, keeping in mind the changing character of warfare. And it is for us in the leadership in the armed forces to understand that we need to always anticipate the change in character of warfare rather than reacting to it after it happens. For this, very essential that we need to understand, assimilate, and absorb the newest technologies that are available to us. Our doctrine has also very clearly spelled out that we are shifting from being merely a threat-based and demanded force to a capability-demanded force. I would like to succinctly put across the broad plans of capability development using the acronyms of A, B, C, D. A for acquire, B for boosting what the capabilities of the existing platforms, C for conserving the aging platforms, and D for developing and helping in the research and development of newer platforms and capabilities. The focus will always remain on Make in India or Atmanirbharta, with a lot of emphasis on joint ventures, transfer of technology, and of course in-house development of technology. I shall touch upon the ABCDs in the coming slides. Firstly, the acquisition. You are all aware of the long-term acquisition program for the Indian Air Force. I have spelled it out very often. It's all over the public domain. We are looking at inducting about 156 light combat helicopters, including the requirement of the Indian Army. The AEWC Mark 1A on the same platform, that is the Embraer, and the Mark II on the Airbus 321 platforms. The C295, we received the first aircraft less than a fortnight ago, and we have signed a contract for 70 HCT-40 basic trainers. Just to give you an idea of what this involves, the C295 project would involve about 125 MSMEs spread across 7 states of the country, expected to generate a little over 40 lakh man-hours of work, and 96% of total man-hour work per aircraft will be undertaken in India. On similar lines, the other equipment that we are inducting is, of course, the Akash surface-to-air guided weapon systems, a plethora of radars starting from the highly mobile and radars of the triple LWR class to the Ashlesha and the MR-SAM and the weapon systems of the MR-SAM class. The LCA, we have signed a contract for 83 LCA Mark 1 aircraft. And recently we have announced our decision to go in for 97 more of the same version. So we will have a huge fleet of about 180 LCA Mark 1A aircraft in our inventory. Again, just with the first contract, this gave rise to about 140 design agencies, 340 production agencies who got involved in this manufacturing of this aircraft. We have generated more than 5,000 jobs through this one contract, and you can well imagine with the forthcoming contract for 97 more aircraft, the number of agencies involved is only going to increase. When it comes to boosting our capability, we had realized the value of maintaining some old platforms by enhancing their capabilities in terms of their radar, EW systems, weapon systems, and so on. We had upgraded the Mirage 2000 fleet, the MiG-29 fleet. The major upgrade of the Sukhoi 30 fleet is on the anvil. We are moving a case for upgrading 84 Sukhoi 30 aircraft. Now, once again, for this, HAL will be the lead integrator. 51 systems on the aircraft will be upgraded. The distribution, as shown, HAL will do about 30, DRDO will do 13, private vendors about 8 of them. 78% of indigenized work content. The workforce will be divided among all the divisions of HAL and about 5 to 6 labs of DRDO. A good example to follow, to emulate, would have been the MiG-29 upgrade, which was done by the 11 base repair depot of the Indian Air Force. We managed in this learning process to indigenize almost 90% of the spares required. The ARS, the automatic replenishment system, the spares that are required for continuous overhaul and servicing of aircraft, we have almost touching 100% indigenization in this fleet. Apart from the hardware, there are certain unseen factors that go on to make a very robust and important Air Force. Some of these probably are not very popular in the public domain. They're not known as to what kind of improvements we are doing. For example, we have just rolled out the Air Force Net 2.0. It's a completely new generation Air Force network based on software-defined radios. This will also support the 5G communication of the Air Force cellular network. We have ensured that all our data centers are hardened adequately. On the Air Force Net, we have now launched more than 80 applications, all of which were developed in-house. Today, we boast of being very almost paperless in our work content. We have more than 15,000 correspondence generated on a daily basis online and about 16 lakh plus digital files on the e-office. Now, we also hold one very unenviable record of operating some of the oldest platforms that any Air Force does. We are flying the Avro for more than 61 years now. The MiG-21s have finished 60 years of service. The Chetaks have finished 61, running the 62nd year of service. We have some other older aircraft like the Jaguars, the IL-76, the AN-32s, which are almost touching 40 years or more of service. In the ground equipment, we have some radars, weapon systems, once again, which are hitting half a century of service to the Indian Air Force. But we have to continue to maintain and conserve this equipment to fill in the numbers, to fill in the void till we get modern equipment. Just as an example, the OSA AK weapon system. When we realized that we have to keep the system going for another 10 years, then we went on wholeheartedly towards indigenizing the parts of this system. And so far, we have got about 180 lines indigenized, and more of them are in progress. When it comes to developing, the Indian Air Force has been an active partner with the Defense R&D labs, with HAL, and with the other academia and MSMEs to help develop the new technologies that will go into these acquisitions that are shown here, the I2 Star, the AWC Mark II, the LCA Mark II, and the IMRH. A very critical component of our race towards Atmanirbharta in the aeronautical sector is the ability to develop our own aero engines. I think the recently signed deal with GE Aerospace for the F414 engines will entail a very large technology transfer to India. It will not only enhance the capability of our LCA Mark II, but it will be a huge boost to the Indian aerospace industry. Okay, through innovation and research and development, some of you would have heard of this competition that we had christened as Meher Baba competition, launched in 2018. And just this morning, I saw a post on the social media. I do not know really whom to attribute it to, but a very apt one. Says it was the Indian Air Force's Shark Tank event. We had invested 16 crore rupees into this project in 2018. Today, the Indian Air Force has signed contracts worth 800 crores for swarm drones and drone related equipment. The ecosystem has grown to over 2,000 crore rupees in the last 3 years alone. So a small event, a competition like the Meher Baba, and now we are running the second version of it, the Meher Baba 2 has been launched, and hopefully next year we'll launch the third version also. It has been the catalyst for the defense aerospace industry in particular. And I think this is an example to emulate. We are taking part in a huge number of projects under Make 1, 2, 3. I shall show it in the next slide. The last bullet here is, of course, the nodal technology centers in all our base repair depots. These are the link between the industry, the academia, the MSMEs, and our own base repair depots. I think they're doing great service in being able to indigenize a whole lot of spares and march towards the goal of Atmanirbharta here. Some of the capabilities that we are going to develop through innovation are as flashed here. More important is the logo on the top right. We set up a new directorate. It's called the Directorate of Aerospace Design, which is now running all these programs. The idea is, like I said, to ideate, innovate, and integrate new technologies into our existing systems. Again, through the Technology Development Fund of the DRDO and the IDEX, we are now looking at developing a huge number of solutions that will meet our future requirements. In the defense space challenges, I'm happy to announce that we have signed up for almost 30 defense space challenges with the MSMEs. And this number is only going to increase in the years to come. Some cutting-edge technologies, improved situational awareness system through a Vayu link, which is completely developed by one Air Force officer himself. Improved cyber resilience. We are launching the integrated air command and control system, the batch 3, in a month or two. And we have to ensure the resilience of the system. Manned-unmanned teaming and solar-powered high-altitude platforms, again, niche technologies areas where we are investing our energies and our money. Apart from the aircraft and the systems, what is really not commonly known, once again, is what goes behind maintaining a robust force structure. Efficient operational logistics, redundant networks, resilient networks, integration of the networks of all the three services, and of course, upgradation of operational infrastructure. A word or two about technology assimilation, which I said was the second pillar of our vision for a strong Air Force in the next 10 years. Now, when we talk about technology assimilation, I think Sandeep Singh had just mentioned a few technologies, and I may be repetitive because we have been wearing the same uniform. I think we think on the same lines. I had not had access to his talk before this, but more or less a lot of things that he covered, I will touch upon once again. We have to realize that we are sensitive to technology. We need to incorporate disruptive technologies in our inductions, and that they will play a critical role in future conflicts. Some of these technologies in just as shown here. Okay, a few critical areas where I think our focus is now shifting is how do we assimilate the and how do we infuse the power of artificial intelligence into our systems. Now, starting from predictive maintenance shown on the top left, going on to the ISR, primarily now we are working on decision support systems, smart operations. Again, a very important facet of being able to capitalize on the power of artificial intelligence and big data. What we are doing is we have developed our own in-house campaign planning systems, ops stamina assessment to see what kind of resources are required at which part of the country at any given time. AI modules are being used for helping us carrying out precision targeting and assimilating information gleaned from the EW systems. So like this, we are now, our focus area has been now to develop and to assimilate the power of AI to be able to put it into our systems. The space segment has been touched upon by Sandeep Singh. I will not repeat it. More importantly, our future imperatives hinge upon having space situational awareness, space control, and finally, space denial. Here, our involvement has been, of course, in the Gaganyaan program, the manned space program, real-time aircraft tracking system. Like I said, 30 defense space challenges is what we have signed up for. And of course, we have now started introducing space space technology as a part of our syllabus right from a time a cadet joins the Air Force Academy. So it's a part of our syllabus to get more awareness of what the capabilities of space are. We firmly believe that network-centric operations is the way forward in the next decade or so, reducing human intervention at various stages, cutting short the decision-making cycles. This is what is going to take us forward into the next decade. For this, we need to have predictive network analysis backed by robust security operations centers. Again, interoperability of data networks, optimization of networks to be able to shrink the OODA loop, as it is called, integration of sensors and creating advanced decision-making cycles through decision analytics, and of course, data protection. These are all the key areas that we are looking forward to for interacting with the MSMEs, with the industry, with the academia, and all our partners. Here, the next step is, of course, information warfare, again touched upon by Air Marshal Sandeep Singh, the ability to carry out strategic culture mapping, predictive decision making of strategic leadership of our adversaries. How do we shape the national security construct? How do we safeguard our own networks? How do we safeguard our own people? These are again focus areas that we are looking into. The key technology imperatives, as listed in one of the slides that went by, and again alluded to by the previous speakers, is that we had to now seriously look at how some of these niche technologies can quickly be assimilated and put to military use. How will they enhance our operational capabilities at the earliest? While there are long-term requirements to incorporate quantum technology to improve our communications, or there are long-term requirements to have better AI modules for decision making, but as technology takes small steps, we also need to equally match up with that and see how best it can enhance our operational capability. In the electronic warfare systems, for example, we are now focusing on reduced form factors. Most of the electronic warfare systems so far that we owned and operated were huge, bulky, large power consumers, large emitters of heat and signatures. We had taken on a project to reduce the form factor, and we were very successful. Within 1 year of launching this effort, we were able to develop laptop-sized electronic warfare systems carrying out the same role that a huge, bulky, truck-mounted system was doing a few years ago. And thereafter, next step was to network all these electronic warfare, the output from all these systems into a robust decision-making system. So our requirement now is to have more plug-and-play systems that can plug into our networks, that can enhance our operational capabilities in any way that it can. The last point, of course, is the understanding of the capabilities of AR and VR based simulator training solutions. We have to disrupt our entire training pattern. Some of you would be aware of the HR imperatives that we are facing right now with the Agnipath scheme, where we have our airmen join us. They will remain with us for 4 years. Now, in this small time of engagement, it is very difficult to go through the complete training process. So we need to disrupt the whole training cycles, the whole training process, and use a whole lot of AR and VR based simulators to ensure that they gather the knowledge that they are required to in the shortest possible time. So in the end, I don't know who I had to attribute this to. That's why I put an anonymous here quotation. So long as there remains a substantial period, often up to 10 years, between inception of a new weapon system and its deployment, even the very latest weapon systems are out of date in terms of what technology can deliver. So in conclusion, just to say that the vision of the Air Force in the next 10 odd years or even beyond that will be to keep pace with the technological developments, to understand and educate ourselves as to how best this technology can be incorporated to increase our operational efficiencies and efficiency in the way we work on a day-to-day basis within the Air Force. That's all I have to say. Thank you very much for your attention.